what's up guys, it's Jay. I'm back at home and I thought I would just make a quick little vlog, I'm holding my, So I'm back at home. I thought I would make up a vlog. I think I'm going to start doing these more often now that I'm home. It's easier to make vlogs and I have better equipment other than just an iPhone that I have to hold. It's been a long journey and I'm still obviously traveling on this journey here to defeat ALL leukemia, but yeah, if you don't know my story, if you haven't really caught up, if you don't really know, I did a few vlogs here on this channel. You can check it out down below. If you just click sort of updates that I started when I was in the hospital for the first time, and then I sort of stopped doing them, didn't feel super great. Mostly at the beginning I started doing them to fill in my coworkers and people who I had just left from working. And now I'm just gonna start vlogging because I think it's a good way for me to expand my videography and my skills. And by doing something more and more often, just gives you a little bit more experience in that field, right? So that's what my goal with this is. Figured I should like quickly make my bed in the background here. So I'm gonna be trying to do these more frequently. Sort of maybe with a theme. If somebody has an idea, a theme for each video, I'm going to try and maybe do one a week, incorporate some just things from my week, whether it be going to the hospital, whether it be just sort of interesting aspects from my week. I thought I'd start by introducing myself, doing a little recap of what sort of happened to me. Keep this neat and tidy, so you can start here. And then we'll move on from there. So yeah, my name is Jay. On September 3rd, 2015, so that's just about 6 months ago now, ish, I was diagnosed with T-cell ALL leukemia, which shattered my world. As a 17-year-old at the time, I was like, that is not where I expected my life to be going. I was just 2 days from starting university, which I didn't do this year, where I had to stay in the hospital for 3 weeks to almost the minute since my diagnosis, on the initial diagnosis, I guess, on that day. Like, in my life, up to that point, I had not spent very much time in a hospital ever. My entire life up to that point, in terms of medical history, was like flus and coughs and dental stuff, because I used to have braces. So I was in the hospital for that. That was a big change. I had to learn how a hospital worked. It was my first experience in there, so how the food system worked, which the food system in hospitals kind of generally stinks. I had to learn how to deal with having an IV stuck into me. Never had I ever had an IV put into me. I had barely ever had blood taken from me, and so sort of needles had, getting shots at school. That was my biggest experience with having stuff poked into me. So I have a port, or like a little chest port that goes in right here, and I had to have that inserted into me. And I had to get used to living with this pipe that comes out of me, and it turns into like a little it's like a composite cable that comes out of me. It's pretty cool. So I've had that for this entirety, and yeah, so there was a lot of getting used to being in the hospital. And for me, I'm a person who really likes to control my environment, be it a curse or a blessing or whatever. I really like to sort of keep things neat and tidy, which can help because it can help people find things if I'm not around. It also means that I really appreciate it when I have control over things. So having basically all of my control stripped away from me all at once was a big challenge, was a big something that I had to get used to. And this goes from things as simple as I don't get to choose when I eat. Like I kind of knew that breakfast was gonna kind of maybe show up between 8 and 9:30 maybe, but I didn't get to say, okay, well, I'm hungry now, so I'm gonna go and walk down and eat my food. I didn't get to do that. Really, there's not much control in the hospital. So after that, I went through a bunch of rounds of chemo. I think in total I went through 12. 12, maybe like 9 to 12. Honestly, they all run into each other because I was able to like have some time off in between, which was super nice because, you know, I would get some chemo and I would feel really bad, but then I would start feeling good again and I would be able to feel good, and it was always right before I got more chemo that was the hardest because I would feel good. I would feel, you know, I feel like a normal human being. There's no reason for people to be, you know, putting more poison into me. And so that was really tough. The doctors determined that because of my initial white blood cell count, because it was so high initially, I was going to have to get a stem cell transplant and or a bone marrow transplant. So the doctors went ahead with the search. Initially they searched within my family, so just my younger brother, to see if he was a match, because there's a 25% chance that he was a match, and they found that he was not a match. And then they went and they searched the international database, and anyone can be on that database between the ages of 17 and 35. So they went searching there, and the doctors said, you know, there's a very good chance that you're going to find at least one match, because I am apparently in the catchment of the most donors. So like, apparently a young Caucasian male has the most donors, or has the most, genetically has the most matches available. And I'm too special. And so in the entire international database, they could not find a match for me. There's like 10 different tissue types, or 10 different like little differentiating factors that they search for. And ideally they want to find somebody that's a 10 out of 10 match. And they couldn't find that for me. And so they told us that. They said, you know what, there is no 10 out of 10 matches. But as I said, they initially searched my brother, and he is not a 10 out of 10 match, but he was a 5 out of 10 match. So he was like a half match. In Canada and in North America, they have only done a few of these half-matched like sibling ones, which is called haploid transplant. But in places like Australia, they've done it measured in hundreds and have had great success. Moving ahead, that's what the doctors decided was going to be for me, is they needed to go ahead with a haploid transplant. That was really the only option for me. So my brother said yes. So on the 2nd of February, I had my transplant. That was my brother's transplant into me. He, a week earlier, had his bone marrow harvested or whatever. He got to be knocked out, which I know he likes because he doesn't do medical stuff. And they took that, they froze it for a week due to complications and drug handling and stuff. And then they gave it to me. For the transplant stay, I was in the hospital, it's not like a recommended time, but they anticipate that stay is going to be a 3 to 5 week stay. So I was in the hospital for 4 weeks and 2 days. Excruciatingly long. It feels incredibly long when you're in there, because all the days just run into each other and it's just But this is sort of just catching you up. So yeah, I'm out of the hospital. I'm feeling mostly great most of the time. I gotta make my way to the hospital. I'm still going every 2 days right now for them to take blood and to give me fluids and to talk to me and all that type of fun things. But yeah, so just an update. And whoa, that was scary. It's been kind of a miserable-ish day, but you can barely see it now. I'll toss some photos up of it, but there's a super intense rainbow here. I got some pictures with my other camera and with my phone. Super intense. You can kind of still see it. Yeah, but it was a double rainbow too. I can only hope it's like God's sign that this is all starting to pass. I'll take it. I'll take it.